My name's Bob Mckay, and I have the honor to be one of Luke's uncles, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share a few words about Luke. Henry Luke Rachwalski was born June 1st, 1991, and right from the beginning, he was a very welcomed individual into a very large family. Luke has 17 aunts and uncles, 36 cousins, 21 second cousins, and growing. So the story is, when Terry was in the hospital, some of the aunties were out shopping in Bellingham, I think. And I think they went over there. I don't know the whole story. Maybe I shouldn't have it, because they bought a lot of stuff down there, and I think a lot of it came up to Canada for Luke. So he was very welcomed into the family. And over the years, being such a large family, we had the opportunity to get together fairly often, not as often as we would like. The Rachwalski clan that moved to the island, that meant that they were further away than we probably would have liked it, because we would have liked them to be a little closer. But we made up for it when they did come to Vernon, and we had a lot of fun. And I just want to say thank you again for being here. So far, Stephen did an awesome job with giving an insight into who Luke was, and we love him very much, and we're grateful. I'm grateful to spend a few minutes with you and share a few memories that some of this extended large family has. Now, as I told you, there's lots of aunts and uncles, lots of cousins, so not everybody was able to share what they wanted to do, but I've picked out some real good ones, I think. So, now, Uncle Garth is, you'll get to meet him tonight, hopefully. He had the opportunity to watch Luke and Jack. We called it the sleepover. And when the boys came back to see Mom and Dad, they were excited. They were so excited to say, "Mom, Uncle Gar's so cool. He gave us all this really neat food." They had craft dinner. They had cheesies and orange pop. There was a color theme there. So we heard after the fact. Now, I don't know how Morris and Terry thought of this. Nutritious weekend? Not really, but lots of memories there. So any of you that have watched the movie Uncle Buck with John Candy, that's Garth's nickname. So, Cousin Carrie, that's my daughter. This is what she wanted to share with you. "Luke, just want to let you know how super blessed I am that I had the chance to frolic and bond in the woods at Auntie Joe's with a few of our cousins when we did. Then return to have you on your guitar and my dad jamming on the harmonica. This is what I call a mental picture, something to hold close to heart and never to be lost or taken away. I went home that day with a huge amount of respect and admiration." Now, Allie is Carrie's daughter, and after we heard of passing of Luke, Allie put a keychain with the letter L on the keychain, so that the memory would always be there. Carrie goes on to say, a dozen times a day, I think of how many lives you have touched with your free spirit, your charm, smile, determination, talent, and love of life. Cousin Megan. I remember when Morris and Terry lived in Vernon. That was a long time ago, and lived on 19th Street. I was over, and Luke and I were dancing to Charlotte Diamond. Charlotte Diamond? How do you dance to Charlotte Diamond? But we were supposed to be eating lunch, and Auntie Terry got mad at us. Yeah, it's okay. Also, I remember hanging out at the cabin on West Side Beach with beach fires and searching for the Ogopogo. Oh, he was always searching, wasn't he? Auntie Joanne. She's the matriarch, kind of. All the reunions have been at her house. That's where the woods were. So she's got a nice little piece of property up on the mountainside. So when Luke was passing through on the way to Montreal, they phoned, or I don't know what the arrangements were, but they stopped and saw Auntie Joanne and Uncle Willie. And this is what she said. When the band was on their way to Montreal, they stopped off in Vernon and stayed overnight with Uncle Willie and myself. I fed them in the morning. So they came in. Now, I never saw the bus, but I heard about the bus. And I guess how Auntie Joanne was. Luke got to stay in the fifth wheel, so he had comfortability. Where the other band members went, I don't know, but he was spoiled right to the end. So at the end, in the morning, they all got up, and Auntie Joanne fed them and hugged and kissed Luke goodbye. Told him to be safe out there because it is a tough world out there. They climbed into the bus and they went to fulfill their dreams. Now, Auntie Joanne's probably the last member of the family to say goodbye and hug him and kiss him. So we rely on her to pass on our love to him at that time. Auntie Cheryl. One of my fondest memories was when Auntie Carolyn and I went and babysat Luke for a week in Victoria. We watched The Jungle Book for my very first time, and the second time, and the third time. Luke loved the bear. Wouldn't you know it? It was a musical. It started really young. Cheryl goes on to say, I love to see Luke's excitement. He was a joy to be around. Darren. Darren's in Calgary. He couldn't make it, but this is his thoughts. My memory is not that great, again, because they lived here and we didn't see him as often as we wanted, but this is what he remembers. I seem to have more general memories about Luke rather than specifics. He was always full of energy, which we all know how he was, and had a fun sense of humor. I remember having fun times with Luke, Jack, and Morris at Shamrock games in Victoria and spending time at their grandparents' cabin on Okanagan Lake. My most specific memory is when Luke was getting into guitar. Now, Darren is getting into it a little bit at the same time. He and his family were visiting our house in Vernon. I was showing my guitar skills and told him I was learning Foo Fighters, and I was pretty proud of my progress. I'm not sure exactly how long he had been playing, but I didn't think he had been playing for so long. So I was surprised when he said, "Oh yeah, I know that one." He picked up my guitar, and sure enough, he could play the song. Not only that, but he was better than me. I soon after set a mental goal to not let my younger cousin be better than me on the guitar. So, sorry, Darren, you blew it, man. However, I think it's pretty clear how long the goal lasted, as I still haven't mastered that Foo Fighters song. And Luke continued to master his skills and start a successful band. Luke was a great kid, and I admire his passion and devotion to doing what he loves. He will be missed. Cousin Brent. One of my best memories of Luke was how thrilled he seemed to be to have Sarah and me stay with him and his family when we visited Victoria as part of their honeymoon. Victoria's a nice place to come on a honeymoon, right? It made our trip that much more enjoyable to be so welcomed into their home. In all my interactions with him, Luke was warm and inviting and a pleasure to talk to. I remember observing when he was younger how good Luke was at involving younger kids in the activities. Although he only had one sibling, you got to remember how many cousins he had, right? So he was really good with kids. This trait of being warm and welcoming continued as he grew up. I was waiting for Luke's cross-country tour to hit Calgary so I could finally hear him play live. I'm sure he put it on a great show. Sarah, who is Brent's wife, her memory was, my first memory of Luke was seeing his school picture along with Jack's on Auntie Penny's fridge when Brent was living at Penny's while we were dating. Penny talked a lot about what great kids Luke and Jack were, and I discovered that was true for myself when we spent more time with them on our honeymoon in Victoria. Luke seemed like an exceptionally well-behaved and pleasant child compared to some of my younger siblings and cousins. I don't know what kind of cousins and siblings she has, but anyway. Over the years at family get-togethers, Luke has always been so friendly and pleasant to talk to. As Luke entered adulthood, I loved his beard because it made him a dead ringer for Morris in his younger days. And I remember those, Morris. Luke always promoted his band in such a friendly way on Facebook that I wish I could have gone to a concert and would have if the distance hadn't been so far. Love you, Luke. Travis. Like in some of those pictures, there were a few pictures of Travis. They were good buds, especially on the beach in the summer. This is what Travis will remember us. Few memories I have are when they would come to Vernon, and we would play spies all the time as kids. Or the one time we played basketball outside in the rain for what felt like hours, and we had a blast doing it. Luke, he always loved to have fun, never a dull moments, always had a smile on. And this is my recollection. One of my greatest regrets is that I didn't hear Luke in his bands. We were cut from the same cloth. Always loved music. Rock and roll. That was me. And so when Luke would come around and found out that he was a musician, he was aspiring, and we used to have talks on the things, the music that we liked. And the greatest one was when I found out that he knew the bands that I grew up with. You know, the Led Zeppelins, the Stones, all that. He knew all that because he knew music. He loved music. One of my greatest memories was at one of the family reunions a few years ago at Auntie Joe's, of course, near the woods. We got together. It was really hot. It was a beautiful day. And he brought his guitar, of course. But he knew that I used to play harmonica. I hadn't done it for 20 years. But he brought his guitar, but he also brought some harmonicas. So he said, "You want to play? You want to jam?" I thought, oh man, don't know if I could. 20 years is a long time, right? So he brought out his guitar, took out a couple keys, C, whatever, I don't know what, and we started doing some licks. And we just jammed for a little bit. It wasn't great because I a little rusty. But he brought the passion back, brought out some harmonicas, some harps, and I would start playing. And so that's kind of the effect that Luke could have on people. And I just want to say he will be missed. Although I didn't hear his bands, last night I went through all YouTube videos because I wanted to know who and where he was at. And so I went through all of them. Crisscross, the River Band, Canvas. I wish there was a lot more. So any of you who have some clips, talk to Morris and Terry, because I'd love to get as much as is out there. I was really impressed with the bands. You could see the passion. You could see the joy that it brought him. And, I recollect and was looking up. So all the great musicians, Luke had that passion. And though he was young, the one great thing that I think he achieved that so many people don't is he lived his passion, he lived his dreams. So that, I believe, he has lived a full life. Not as long as we want it to be, but I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to be part of his family and to have these memories. And again, I appreciate you being here, and I'm looking forward to meeting so many of you. And just want to say thank you.